Good morning and welcome back to the Livingston Parish News Morning Show. My name is McHugh David, publisher and editor of the news. Appreciate you joining us this morning. Hopefully our camera doesn't fall off today. It is a lovely Monday morning on Thanksgiving week. Traffic is pretty good this morning. Just want to remind you before we get into that, that you can watch these shows later if you can't catch us live on Facebook in the morning at www.livingstonparishnews.com/podcast. There are audio and video versions there as well. Also want to let everybody know that there will be no morning show on Thursday and Friday of this week. There's just not anything going on. So please remember that today, tomorrow, and Wednesday will be the only morning shows for this week. There will be no morning show on Thursday or Friday. So let's jump into your traffic. Nice and easy this morning. No school in session or anything like that. Minor delays at Millerville on I-12 westbound heading into Baton Rouge. Otherwise, a pretty clear commute for you if you're going to work this morning. It's also very clear weather-wise because it's very cold. It's 38 degrees outside. Looking at a high of 70 degrees. 55 degrees is your low. Looking at that kind of weather pattern throughout the rest of the week up until about Friday, and then we're going to see a warming trend into Saturday afternoon. Then it's going to rain and get cold again. So looking at a beautiful Thanksgiving week. Going to be a little chilly at times, but warm during the day. Last Thursday, the parish council announced that they would introduce or have introduced an ordinance about a syringe exchange program. Lots of shisha this morning. That program would allow a private company funded through federal grants to come in, set up shop in Livingston Parish, and try to exchange dirty needles. Currently, Livingston Parish leads the way in HIV cases and hepatitis A cases in Louisiana. They're looking to curb that. There's also a secondary part of the program where when these folks come in to exchange needles, they try to talk them out of doing drugs, trying to get them counseling, help, rehabilitation, that kind of thing. They have a 30-year track record of positive results. This does not cost the parish anything. All they have to do is adjust their miscellaneous offenses ordinance to include those who show up voluntarily. As you know, you can't just sit a cop inside the facility, and if somebody shows up with a needle, you arrest them. They have to be granted some sort of clemency to be able to come in, turn that needle in, talk to somebody about their drug use, and sent away. Part of the reason that the Department of Health and Hospitals has shown up, or I think they're called the Department of Human Services now, has shown up to do this is that cases of HIV as well as hepatitis A have now moved more into the 25 to 35 range, which is concerning for them that a new generation would be picking up on that. So they're here to ask for that permission. That ordinance will be voted on next Thursday. I believe it's the 5th of December. If you remember, the Parish Council has moved their meetings up during the month. They'll meet on the 5th and the 19th, and then there'll be a long break before they meet again over the Christmas holidays. So we'll be keeping an eye on that. Again, it's an attempt to curb hepatitis A cases as well as HIV cases in Livingston Parish by trying to get those dirty needles off the street. The federal government does not pay for new needles. Whatever private company will either have to self-fund that or find a state level grant or a nonprofit to help them with that. The federal government will supply the rest of the funds through grant funding, however. It was a strange weekend in Holden. Unfortunately, two pedestrians were struck, one on Friday night and another on Saturday. The one on Friday was fatal. Mr. Perry Shink hit Mr. Jerry Shink on Highway 441, and that was the fatal blow. State police are investigating as to whether or not, I think their family, they have not, state police has not confirmed that. Maybe some local folks have confirmed that. They're looking into whether or not alcohol was involved, family was involved, if anything was involved in the back end, or if it was just an accident. We're waiting to hear back from Taylor Scrantz, which the communications officer for State Police Troop A, on that one. They have not released the name of the other person hit. They were hit south of I-12 at 441 and Whitechapel Road, excuse me. Whew, I'm having a morning. That person just sustained minor injuries and was shipped to the hospital and released. Mr. Eric Harrison was arrested in the Albany armed robbery north of Albany at a Dollar General. 4 members of that crew that robbed that store are still at large, so they're going to see what they can get out of Mr. Eric Harrison before looking for his cohorts. Mr. Harrison was tracked down to the Livingston Tangipahoa line, where he was arrested not long after the robbery occurred. Unfortunately, Walker's darling football season has come to an end at the hands of number 1 Acadiana, 49-0, as one of the kids from Mr. Aubrey Womack from Walker said after the game. Not a whole lot of people still run the veer. They did their best with it, but with 2 Army commits and just a very large O-line, Acadiana was able to do what they wanted to do. It is really the only way you can put it. So Walker's season comes to an end. Time to reflect. Time to move into next year. And speaking of changes for next year, on Friday before the game, Friday morning, Brett Beard, who was the coach at Live Oak Football, announced that he would be moving to Denham Springs for the next school year. That would be the 2020-2021 school year to coach football. We're still waiting for details as to when he will move to the school, probably for the Christmas break for next semester. So we'll keep an eye on that. Coach Beard has been at Live Oak for about 5 years and has been to the playoffs every year. They were bounced this year by a familiar foe, Zachary, right off the bat. So he'll be moving south to Denham Springs. To teach. I'm not sure if they'll be physically moving homes, but he will be moving to Denham Springs to coach. Basketball. It has started. There are, of course, lots of games played. You'll be getting a lot more sports these days. Of course, there are 18 teams as opposed to 3 volleyball teams and 5 football teams. And of course, there are also 6 soccer teams as well as the 18 basketball teams. So a lot of content coming out in sports. All those seasons have mostly gotten underway. A lot of pre-district games and things of that nature, leading into the parish tournament, which begins on the 10th. That would be Tuesday, December 10th. So that's coming up in about 2 weeks, 3 weeks, something like that. Chase Tyler had sort of a pretty good 3-day stretch there. Last week, he was named the Grand Marshal of the Kiwanis Christmas Parade, which is also coming up in about 3 weeks. And then on Sunday, he was able to go down to New Orleans and sing before a Saints win against the Panthers. He sang the national anthem. So congratulations to Mr. Chase Tyler on that, representing Denham Springs. I know we appreciate all that, and congratulations on being named the Grand Marshal. Again, your traffic, minor delays at Millerville on I-12 westbound heading into Baton Rouge. Not too bad today with no school, things moving, and a holiday week, things moving relatively easy. It's currently 38 degrees. 70 degrees is going to be your high today. 55 your overnight low. Going to kind of be in that range up until Friday. We're going to see a warming trend then. A reminder that today, tomorrow, and Wednesday will be the only morning shows we will do this week. There will be no morning show on Thursday or Friday. We'll be back in the booth next Monday for that show. Again, my name is McHugh David, publisher and editor of the news. Appreciate you joining us on this Monday of Thanksgiving week. You can find the news on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, and YouTube. We are once a week in print and online as well. We also recommend you check out our app. You can find it on any phone platform that you have. Thanks again for joining us on this Monday morning. Please try to stay warm, and we will be back in the booth with you tomorrow.